we are going to be looking at a particular topic today called lean testing. I'm going to show you how you can validate a business idea using artificial intelligence and work out whether or not it is a business and a product that you should bother pursuing. This is a problem I've been talking to a lot of people, I have my social channels about, where they say, I don't have a business idea, or I don't know if it's a good business idea. I don't know if people want this. So I'm going to be walking you through how with artificial intelligence, we can very extremely quickly test out a new idea. This is also based on the fact that yesterday I set up a new lead flow. I'll go into it in detail. I'll show you my ads manager. I'll show you how I built it and my analytics in the background as well, in order to bring people into my business and to make sales as well. So I'm going to be showing you a live example as well as going through the more kind of academic part of this. What's exciting about this, the fact that we have artificial intelligence, is that we can now test ideas extremely quickly. And once you know you have an offer, you have a product that people want, you go for it. So let's jump in. Specifically, this is called lean testing. This is after a book and a movement called the Lean Startup. You've probably even seen this cover by Eric Ries. You don't really need to read it. I'll go through the basic principles of it, but if you want some additional information, you can check out the Lean Startup to learn a bit more about the methodology, but I'm just going to give you the basics here. We're going to walk through how you come up with an idea, launch it into the market, test whether people want it, test whether people will buy it before you build that product. Sounds like we've flipped it around, so that's what we're going to look at. What people tend to do when they're starting a business, especially their first business, I see a lot of people do this, is they will come up with an idea, they will perfect that idea, they will obsess about it and polish that idea and start to build in secret. They'll probably create a big business plan and a strategy for launching, and it's all by the book, by the numbers. They might spend 6 months, they might spend a year, they might spend multiple years building their perfect product. They might hire people, they're spending money on logos and business cards and websites, but they haven't launched. They do all of this stuff in preparation, but they do not go out and ask people. They do not ask their market, hey, do you want this? So they're building in secret, they will perfect the product, they will launch it months later, and then they find out that nobody cares. Nobody wanted what it is I have spent all of this time building. I've spent all of this money, all of this energy, I've poured my heart and soul into this idea, and nobody wants it. And that is incredibly disheartening. And that happens to so many people when they launch their first business. Now, the people who stick with it, they'll hopefully do it differently. But what I see a lot of the time is somebody will launch a product, not get any sales, and be like, okay, I need to do something better. They'll go back into building in secret and spend more time perfecting, trying to come up with the best product, but they won't talk to any people in their market to ask, what is it you actually want me to build? And they end up in this trap going round and round, and then eventually they quit and say, nope, starting a business is too difficult. Really disheartening, extremely upsetting, and especially when you attach your ego to your idea, which is something that a lot of people do. This means people bounce off entrepreneurship and say, never again, I'm just going to go for a nice safe job instead. So what we're going to do, instead of that, we're going to invert the method. Instead of building the product and then launching it, we're going to launch and then build the product. How do we do that? So the old way is you build and you launch, which means it might take you months to build that product. Now, AI is bringing those timelines down. You can now build something very quickly. That's awesome, but you still have to build that product, and that's going to take time and energy, and you attach your ego to your idea. When you release it and nobody wants it, that can hurt personally. It can be psychologically damaging, especially the first time you do it. What we're going to do instead is we're going to find a market, and then we're going to build a product for that market. We're going to flip it totally. We're going to sell something that does not yet exist. Okay, we're not doing it in a fraudulent way. This is not a scammy way, and I'll talk about how this works, but we are going to go ahead and sell something, see if people buy it, and if enough people buy it, we're going to build it. Sounds weird, but that is the model that works really well, and we'll talk about it over the next 20 minutes or so. I will come back to your questions on the live as well. So what we're going to do, and this is what I did yesterday, is we're going to come up with an idea for a business. We can use artificial intelligence for that. I will give you some more resources for that. We're then going to build multiple sales pages. We're going to build some variations for this idea. We're going to run traffic to it using meta ads, and then we're going to see whether or not people want it. Sounds very basic, but notice what is missing. We don't build the product. The product is not created. First step is generate testable ideas. I did a presentation on this. If you head over to YouTube, it's called How to Find Your First $1,000 a Month AI Business Ideas. If you go to my website, aiwithkyle.com, this is a free course at the top, the 10-week course. If you click on Start Week 1, it's going to be the first 1,000 AI niche here. So that guides you through how you can come up with business ideas. There's a couple of ways to do it. We're going to use artificial intelligence to help us get on the way and to refine our ideas, but then we have to go to the market. We have to go to real people to find out whether they're going to buy it or not. And that is what we're doing with this framework here. So we're going to generate the ideas. We can use AI, but I recommend starting with something that you're interested in, starting with something that you think might actually genuinely be useful, because AI can give you infinite possibilities and we need to narrow it down. And then we're going to take that to market. We're going to take it to people using a sales page and adverts in order to work out whether they actually want it. Because if we ask AI, is this a good idea? It will always say, yeah, that's a great idea. You're going to make so much money. You're the best. And that is not helpful. We need to not rely on AI at that point. We need to rely on what our customers actually want. Because remember, AI is not going to pay you. AI is not going to take out his credit card and buy from you. So we'll generate testable ideas. At this point, do not obsess over making it the best idea in the world. You can have something pretty broad at this point, because we're going to be testing, using the testing method to refine that offer. So your idea for a product or a service does not need to be fully fleshed out. For example, I'm doing a test right now with another company where we're offering a 7-day AI readiness bootcamp. We're selling this idea of the 7-day AI readiness bootcamp, but we haven't filled in the specifics of it. We haven't said day 1 is going to be this, day 2 is going to be this, day 3 is going to be this. I have a rough idea in my head, but we haven't put together the curriculum. We haven't begun to write the content. I will do all of that, but we can start to sell the idea before we flesh out everything. So we just have the idea of, boom, 7-day bootcamp for AI readiness, and that is sufficient at this point. That's all we need, because we're going to test and use feedback to refine what the actual contents are, and that's going to allow us to make the actual product more valuable to the end users. So start with something that solves a pain, has some kind of clear outcome, and targets a narrow audience. Don't make it like how to lose weight. That's too broad. It could be how to lose weight for people of a certain age who follow a certain diet, and maybe only men, for example. You start to narrow it down a little bit, but you don't need the exact how, just the what at this point. So you're not going to be writing spec sheets. Do not design logos. Do not start hiring people. Do not build the full product. Not yet. We just want the idea, the broad idea at the moment. We are going to use the sales page to work out our offer. So again, we're not building a product, but we are building our offer. We are deciding what it is we're going to offer to our potential customers, and we're going to use the sales page as an exercise to flesh out that offer. I'll give you an example I put together the other day. This is a sales page. This sales page here is for something called the Freedom Operating System. And this is quite a long form sales page. This is all created with artificial intelligence, generated with AI. Here's the sale. So that is a sales page. I have now included this, but this is on the thank you page when you sign up for my newsletter. You get the information that you are signed up, and then it says that your free resources, if you are interested, there is a paid course here. These are the details. I'll talk about why we're doing this, basically to liquidate advertising costs. This is an example of an AI generated landing page. So they can look pretty good and they can be pretty powerful. What we do though is create multiple variations. A landing page or a sales page, you're going to have the same kind of elements, but what we want to do is create multiple variations so we can test out which hooks, headlines, images, benefits, and features actually work to sell the offer. The point here is that we're spending more time refining the copy, refining the offer, than we are actually refining the product, because we haven't created the product yet. We need to work out whether we can sell it at all. So we refine the offer using the sales page. The sales page is more important than the product itself, because if you can't get people through the sales page, if you can't get people to purchase, then it doesn't matter how good the product is. What I see a lot of people do is create a very good product, but because they suck at creating an offer around it, they suck at creating the sales page, nobody ever gets to the product. So you start with the sales page, and then you use that sales page to guide the product, because people are already buying into your vision, into your offer on the sales page, and you use that information to shape up what the actual product is going to be. It's an incredibly powerful way to do it because it saves you all of that time. You are not stuck in this loop of creating, spending months and months building, and then launching to crickets. Instead, you are creating the offer, creating the sales page, seeing if it resonates, and if it resonates, then you create the product. Okay? When I create a sales page like this, I will create 3 or 4 variations. I will then use something called PostHog in the background. This is an example of a test I put up yesterday. This website has had 160 visits since yesterday, and you can see it's split over these 4 variations here. So the control, status, early, and signal, these are my variations, and it's split very roughly 25%, 25%, 25%, 25%. I can then see, of the people who arrive on the page, how many people convert. So this is the level of detail we can get from the tools in our backend. The control converts at 35.5%. The second one, called status, converts at 37%. The third one, early, converts at 40%. We like that. And then signal converts at 25%. So signal is the weakest, and the strongest, an extra 5% conversion, is early or early ahead. This test has only been going a day, so I can't draw any conclusions, but based on these results so far, this particular variation here is doing better than my previous version, which is a control, and I've got an increase of 5% in the conversion rate. Really cool. Because I've got 4 different landing pages, 4 different sales pages, they're all using different hooks. They're all using different headlines, different images, different benefits. This tells me that the one that is resonating with people and the one that creates interest is this one. That's really powerful, because that allows me to alter the product, to alter the future sales page variations, and to alter the adverts. All of this is information from real people. So again, if we were doing this the old way and we were building in private, we might have suspicions about how we think people are going to act. We might have suspicions about what kind of thing they're going to go for, but we wouldn't necessarily know if that's true or not. Unfortunately, artificial intelligence can reinforce that. I could say to my AI, hey, I'm building a product to help people lose weight. I think the things that are important to them are sugar intake, exercise, and being able to keep flexible while traveling. AI, unfortunately, would be like, yeah, that sounds right. And it would generally agree with you. So we need to be really careful. Whereas this is telling me that of the 160 people who have been to this website, this particular variation, called early ahead, converted better than any of the others by quite a large margin in some cases. So that is real data, real information intelligence from real people. Super important. And this is a 1-day test. We're trying to do all of this testing very quickly. So we're going to create sales pages. A couple of ways to do that. I'm currently using Codex to do that. If you are not comfortable with vibe coding, you could use something like Lovable. Lovable is going to be the simplest way. You are literally going to say, I want to make 3 variations of a sales page for, and then you give it your idea, you give it any details that you've worked out with AI, you plug it all in, and it will create you 3 variations of that sales page. You'll also be able to host them. We need them in a moment because we're going to start to run adverts to those sales pages. With Lovable, it's as simple as that. We are going to say, I want 3 variations. This is the idea. Maybe you give it some information about your brand if you have one. Maybe you give it some hints on what kind of variations you want, or you ask it. You say, hey, I want to create a couple of variations. So for example, wait, no, I don't have it here. It's on a different computer, unfortunately. I created these multiple variations by talking it through with Codex, saying, hey, based on what I'm seeing, I think we need 4 variations. Based on what I'm seeing, here's one that we could try out. And it filled in the gaps. It's okay, cool. Let's also try this and this and this. And it built those variations. And this one here, this is one of its variations it decided on. And that is doing better than my human created one. So don't assume you know best. Just get things out in testing, get it in front of people, and follow the data. So we've created sales pages. We've used Lovable. We've used Claude Code. We've used Codex. Doesn't really matter. I think I have, if we go back to the catalog, pretty sure I've got a whole guide about sales pages. Sales. These are all free on aiwithkyle.com. How to create, load them. Super Social proof to supercharge sales webinars. Here we go. Maybe Sales Funnel 101. That will talk about sales pages and how to create lead magnets. We'll talk about sales pages as well. That's all free on AI with Kyle. So make sure you go and grab those. Okay, so we've got our sales pages. We're using this as our main offer. We're worrying about the sales page first and foremost. We're now going to run adverts to it. Actually, before we get to that, on the sales page, there's a couple of things you can do here. One landing page could be for an email. This is my join my community page. You enter an email, there's no cost. You could run traffic to something that's free. You would say, I'm building this product. There is a waiting list. Would you like to join? People can join your waiting list. They're just giving you their email address as a weaker signal than if people pay. So the other option is you take payment. You say, I'm building this. It will be ready in 2 weeks. The pre-sale is $100. When we release in 2 weeks, it will be $200. Are you interested? And then you will get people actually paying you real money. That gives you a much better indication of whether they will pay you. People will give away their email address, but they won't necessarily give you their credit card details. So that's a much stronger metric that the offer that you have is going to work. And we'll talk about metrics and decision making in a moment, but generally taking payment is going to give you more confidence that this is an offer that is worth building. Now, some of you will be thinking, you shouldn't take credit card detail. You shouldn't take payment if you haven't built the product yet. Because how do you know you're going to build the product yet? One, you are going to build the product if you get enough sales. Two, if you don't get enough sales and the uptake on your offer is weak, you refund everybody. You give them all a 100% refund and you write them a message. Hey, sorry, the uptake on this was not high enough, so we're not doing it. I've given you a full refund. Maybe you even give them something, a bonus, something for free as well. Apologies for messing you around. Here is a free bonus. Plus all your money's come back to you. It's relatively de-risked. You just be fully open about it. Hey, we were testing to see whether or not this was a goer. Not enough people interested. I appreciate that you were interested, but I'm sorry, we're not moving ahead with it. Given you a full refund, and I've given you this bonus XYZ for your trouble. Thank you so much. You can keep them on your email list, and then later, or when you do launch another offer, you go back to them and say, hey, we didn't go ahead with that last offer, but here's something I think you might like. Chances are they're going to buy as well. So these are two different options. It depends on which one you want to go for. Email waitlist is fine. It's lower risk, but it's also a lower signal than taking a payment. Taking a payment, I understand some people might be uncomfortable with, but as long as you're honest and you're above board about it and you do fully refunds, always refund. Don't keep people's money and not make the product. That is fraud. Don't do that. But if you are not comfortable taking payment, that's absolutely fine. Do an email waitlist. The other thing you can do is you can take a deposit. So you can say, hey, this will be £1,000, but all we want right now is a £5 deposit. And that gives you a mid option between these two. You tell them the full price. You say, when it's ready, we'll get in touch. Right now, it's £5 deposit or £10 deposit. Are you interested? That works too. Okay, we are then going to run adverts. You can build up an audience. You can talk about this organically. You can try to drive traffic from LinkedIn, TikToks, various social media, etc. That only works if you already have an audience. So for me, for example, because I've got an audience of about 250,000, last year I was able to put out a TikTok saying, this is something I'm building. Are you interested? Enough people put their hand up to say, yes, I'm interested, for me to move ahead with the idea. I sent out a link saying, I'm building this and I want to collect some information. Here's a survey. Are you interested? Enough people put their hand up, did the survey for me to move ahead. I kept validating it that way. And then eventually I was like, okay, we're going to pre-sale. It is £1,500. Would you like to buy? And enough people purchased for me to go ahead. I still had not built the product at this point. Then I built the product with that first cohort. And I said to them, this was fully open. This is the first cohort. I'm building it with you as we go along, which means you're going to get even more attention because I am fully involved in building this alongside you. But you should know this is the first time we're doing it. Again, fully transparent about it. Sending out a message saying, is anyone interested in it? That led to about $500,000 in revenue. So if you have an audience, 100% you can do that. If you do not have an audience, it takes too long to build up an audience for you to bother with this using organic social media. 100% build up organic social media in the background yourself, but that's not what we're doing here for this particular one-day test because you're not going to be able to get enough traffic. So what you're going to do is you're going to go onto Meta ads. Why Meta? It's cheap. and it's wide. LinkedIn ads are very focused, but very expensive. Instagram is part of Meta. Google ads are very specific because they're mainly for people who have a problem. They're searching for the solution right now, and you put a banner at the top, whereas Meta tends to be more interest-based. You be able to target on interests, people who are interested in AI, technology, health and fitness, instead of problem-based like Google. So Meta tends to be the best place to start. It's also cheaper because we can do more testing. So you are going to set up a Meta ad campaign and then drive traffic to your different sales pages. And we're going to see whether or not people convert off the back of that traffic. So in terms of the acquisition strategy, we're not going to go and hire a Meta ad consultant because that's going to cost us a few £1,000s a month. We don't need that. We are just going to put £20 a day behind Meta ads for about a week. So you assume that your test budget is going to be £100, £200, £300. You're going to be spending money, but we have to weigh that up against your time. So what this allows us to do is to spend £100 testing out an idea to see whether there's any interest in it. Yes, you might lose £100. Maybe people are not interested in it. You've spent £100. Damn, that sucks. That's much better than spending 6 months or a year building something in secret, releasing it to the world and realizing that nobody cares. Yes, you might not have spent any money doing this, but you've wasted time. And instead we can get to the same result of, oh, nobody cares about my product. We can get to that by spending £100 instead of 1 year. And personally, I know which one of those is more valuable. So we are going to spend some money because it allows us to drive traffic and to test very quickly. In terms of how you run the ads, we're going to keep it really simple. We'll let Meta do the targeting for us. We'll put our ads together and our targeting will be broad. The only targeting I do is geographic. So I will target the UK and America, the US. Sometimes I'll do European, sometimes I'll do Australia, New Zealand, but generally just UK and US. You will target whatever geography makes sense for you. But apart from that, wide. We're not going to give it interests. We're not going to give it demographic information. We're not going to give it anything like that because we're going to use the ad campaign to learn about our customers. So we go broad and then we let the algorithm itself optimize and work out what it is or who's going to respond to our adverts. I will show you. This is a live campaign as of yesterday. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 variants. So these are 8 different videos. This is my advert. And this is to drive leads and then to make sales. So there is this one here, A2V1H6, which is running away with it. It is absolutely killing all of the competition. That tells me the contents of this video resonate with the people who are interested in what I have. This is a really powerful video. This H6, that's hook 6 in particular, is working so that I've come back to my landing pages and made additional tweaks, made some more based on that hook. This hook is you're not late to artificial intelligence. If anything, you're early. More than 99% of people in artificial intelligence, if you are watching this video right now. So that is the hook. So now I have information from spending £50. I've spent £50 and that's given me the information that I can then put into my landing page. I can then put into my product. I can then use across my whole ecosystem. So it's really powerful stuff. And that's only £50 to get that information. What I wanted to show you though, is that it also gives me things like, where am I going to be able to find it? I do hate this interface, unfortunately. I'm not sure where to find it right now, so I'm not going to look for it fully, but it tells me what kind of people are responding. On this particular campaign, it tends to be older people, 35 and above. The 50 to 60 bracket is very high and the 65 plus. I'm getting nobody in from 18 to 24. So that is telling me, okay, this offer, what I'm talking about is resonating more with people who are 35 plus, people who are experienced. Also, and this is great for me, that demographic tends to have more money than people who are 18, which is good. Running all of this gives me this information. This is telling me that this advert is working. It's sending people to the website, specifically to this one. This message is resonating with them. They're signing up and then they're coming through to this thank you page and purchasing off the back of it. I'm getting all of this information from running these adverts. This allows me to tweak, it allows me to change things, it allows me to know whether this offer is worthwhile or I should kill it. If I saw the price massively expanding, people weren't clicking, people weren't signing up, people weren't buying, then I would kill the campaign. We're trying to kill our darlings. So the goal here is we're buying data, not just users, especially early on. It gives us learning. We're not necessarily going to get our first product is going to be a massive hit. That's fine because we are learning, and it's costing us relatively small amounts of money compared to the year of our time that we might waste if we're building in public. So that is the acquisition strategy. It does require money. There's no way around that, but it buys us a huge amount of information that allows us to actually build a business. If you do not have the money for this, then your option is to build an audience. That is something I've talked about elsewhere. I also have an accelerator, which has currently just started, so you're a bit late for it. The Authority Accelerator, which is about short form video, the best way to build an audience. But building an audience takes time. This whole strategy we're looking at today is about speed. It's about being able to test one business idea per day. If you work at this, you can test. You do this for a month, you do this for a couple of weeks, you're going to hit on something that's going to make you good money. This is very doable, but it will require a bit of budget. This is tiny though compared to how much you could potentially make once you hit an idea. Video ads work the best. You can do text adverts, you can do image adverts. They don't work as well, and it's going to cost you more money, and it's going to take longer to find out whether an idea is a yes or a no. So I do not recommend text adverts. I don't think you can even do text adverts anymore on Meta. I do not recommend image adverts. I recommend video. I do not recommend just some AI slop advert. I don't recommend faceless. I recommend personally getting on camera and talking about what it is you have to sell. You're going to take this sales page that you've created using AI, you're going to copy it, you're going to take it back to your AI, and you're going to say, I'm setting up a Meta ads campaign. I want 10 video variations. Use the information on this page about my offer, about my sales page, to generate adverts that will be congruent with that sales page, that will drive traffic to that sales page. You are not interested in selling in the video. All you want to do in your ad creative is get people to click and go to the sales page. That is the only objective. So you're not talking about price, you're not talking about what the offer is, you are merely trying to get people to that page. Make sure you tell the AI that, give it the sales page and ask for video scripts. Then you're going to take out your phone, where's my phone, there it is, and you're going to record those videos. It's difficult, but if you can do it, that is going to be the most effective ad creative you can make, and that's going to help you get leads for much, much cheaper. If you are uncomfortable doing that, well, you can hire someone to do that, or you can use AI to create an avatar. I don't recommend it. It's not going to be as effective. Or you can do faceless. I don't recommend it. It's not going to be as effective, but those are still options available for you. But you use the AI to do all your scripting, and then you do the actual recording yourself. It's worthwhile getting good at this skill, honestly. So the machine will do the scripting. It would do the headline variations, the angle generation, the testing schedule. Let me pull up. I should be able to find it. Maybe testing this one. So I created all my videos and my hooks, etc., and run all my campaign through this. I'll just show you quickly what that looks like if I can find it. There we go. So this is like funnel A, hook first engine, and it's got some scripts. Where are the scripts? But ChatGPT wrote the scripts for me based on the sales page, based on what I'm trying to sell. And it created these variations. And then I recorded the variations and then placed the variations into an ad campaign. And now I can see which one is working. And it is this one. H6 is the best variation, which gives me a huge amount of information moving forward. But so you use AI to do the structuring, AI to work out the scripts, but then you, as a human, you do the actual creative, you do the recording. It gives you a lot more authenticity. It's also a lot faster. And again, this whole method today is about being able to validate a market in a day. If you have to send away your scripts to be produced into videos, if you have an animator creating this stuff for you, that's not going to be possible. But these are not all of them. I recorded 90 video variations, which was a bit excessive. We're only testing 10 at the moment, but there are 90 different variations which will be in play over time. I don't recommend doing 90. That's psychotic. Do 4 or 5. That would be absolutely fine. Then you're going to run that. I would let it run for about a week. These adverts that you're seeing here are literally 2 days. I think it's only 2 days so far. Yep, it's 2 days. So this is not enough information for me to go on yet. You're going to allow it to run for about a week. So you're spending £20 a day for a week. That is £140. Again, you're spending money now to validate or invalidate an idea. And that is much cheaper than spending months of your life building an idea that is not going to work. Step 4, how do we validate? You need to work out whether or not this is a goer or not. Just because somebody has signed up, just because somebody has purchased, just because there's one person, doesn't mean that this is necessarily a strong offer. It just might be hyper-targeted to that particular person, which is cool for that person, but we need to know that there's a large enough market. So what you need to work out is going in upfront, what are metrics of success? What are metrics of failure? You might say, okay, I'm going to spend £140 on this test. I want to have 10 sales, and each of those sales is going to be £100. That would be £1,000 of sales for £140 spend. I'm happy. You set those metrics before the test starts. Otherwise, the psychology of the test and watching these numbers gets in the way and you become too emotionally attached. So you set up your success metrics before. Ideally, you have a metric for cost per click, which is the amount cost to get them to your site. You have one for cost per email collection. So for me right now, this is costing me, this one's 75p for an email. This one's £1 for an email, for example. My goal is £2, so under £2 is good. So I'm happy with these. Cost per conversion, so a cost per purchase. That is what we're looking for here. But obviously, you have to be charging your customers for that. And then you need to work out your desired margin and your product price in order to work out your cost per acquisition. This is going into the weeds a little bit, but you need to know all of these numbers before you start the test so that you don't get too emotionally attached to the wins you're having. And instead you can step back and be like, it was good. We made some sales. We sold £1,000 of stuff. That's awesome. I love that. But the margins don't really make sense and we didn't get that much of a hit. So I'm actually going to kill this test and refund all of that money. Otherwise, it's still very easy to fall in love with it just because it started to make some money and you're like, oh my God, but it still might not be a good idea. It still might not be scalable. What you can also do is expand the test. If you're on the edge, you're like, it's working, but it could do better. Then you can expand the test. You can go another week. You can refine the adverts. You can refine the landing page, but that's only if it's an edge case. I would much rather you kill the idea and move on, but you get a feel for this again and again. So the data is either going to pass. So you have a sustainable cost per acquisition and consistent interest. People are still buying, still signing up after a week. If so, build the product that you have pre-sold. Go ahead and create it. You also know which of your sales pages converted best. That tells you how you should shape your product. Let's say you have one sales page which focuses on the money that they will make when they purchase your product. And you have one that is focused on the community they'll be a part of when they purchase your product, and you have one that is focused on their continuing education. So you have three. You have money, you have community, and you have education. Let's say these are your different angles on your sales pages, and you find that the one that makes the most sales is the one you're talking to people about how much money they're going to make. That's awesome. That tells you that is the driver, that is the hook that is resonating with people. Therefore, you build that into your product more. So your product will be less about the community, less about the continuing education, and more about helping them make money. You are then going to also later refine your adverts, refine your sales pages, continue to refine everything based around that hook, because now you have real information from real people. So cool, you are going to go ahead and build. I have got many courses on this. If you go to courses, the free course, 10-week course, has week 4 is about vibe coding. Week 5 is about building what people want. So this is building with beta testing, building with cohorts, etc. In the catalog, there are tons and tons of them. There's one on digital products, for example. Press search. Building digital products, starting an online business. There's a whole category. If you go to offer, filter for offer, this will show you all the different ways you can build product, basically products and services. Vibe coding, leapfrogging competitors, building profitable apps, get started with vibe coding a business, app launch, training for businesses, selling workshops, digital products, sales funnels, cohorts, authentic sales, welcome sequences, etc. There's lots of stuff in there. That's all free on AI with Kyle. But you are going to go ahead and build your product. What your product is depends on what the idea was. It depends on the delivery mechanism. You use the successful sales pages and the ads to tell you, okay, it's going to be in this area. Let's get building. Otherwise, scenario B is it fails. So there's a high cost per acquisition. There's a low click-through rate. people don't seem that interested in what you have to offer. So you've spent £150, £200 testing your idea. No one cares. It's fine. You do not have the sunk cost of spending 6 months or 12 months building a product that no one cares about. Instead, you've spent 200 quid and an afternoon building some sales pages and some ads. Nobody cares about it. You kill it, you move on. No harm, no foul. Next time you do this, you're going to be faster. You're going to be better. You're going to be able to build sales pages faster. You're going to know how to use meta ads. You are going to be much more comfortable recording adverts on video. So you skill up through each of these cycles. So it's not a loss at all. It's an investment of 200, did not pan out, but you learnt a huge amount and then you move on to the next one. And importantly, there is no sunk cost. You're not going to spend 6 months working on this stupid thing. This is all based on the lean startup methodology. Don't assume anything. Don't assume you know what people want. Don't base it on anecdotes of, oh, my friend down the pub said that he'd really like an app like this. We need to find out if there are 10,000 people willing to get an app like this and how much are they willing to pay for it. There's a great story of market research that Sony did for their yellow Walkman. If you're old like me, you'll remember this. I think it's beautiful. So they had these sports Walkman and sports boom boxes and stuff. And they did customer research on these things. I used to have one of these. They did customer research, market research, and they brought lots of people in. They asked people, do you like this design? And everyone in the market research, yeah, I love it. Wow, it's so cool. It's so trendy. I can imagine it in summer. Everyone loved it when they were asked. They were then given the option to buy one at the end of the market research. Okay, cool. We're actually releasing these limited edition. They're not out yet, but for this price, you can buy it. No one bought it. So they would all happily say, yes, I love this. I'm interested in this. They would not actually reach into their wallet and pull out money to buy this abomination. Although I did love it. This whole thing on the side was a clasp and it would open up. I'm not going to buy one for 200 quid for the nostalgia though. So you have to not rely on anecdotes, not rely on what your mate says. Don't listen to your mum. She's going to say that it's great whatever you do. You need to buy proof. And that means you need to take your offer out into the market. You need to put it in front of strangers who don't care who you are, who don't know you from Adam. And you're going to see whether they give you their email address, see whether they open their wallet. You have to check that. This kills most businesses. The problem with most physical businesses is that it's really hard to prove beforehand whether there's demand for what you want. This is an advantage of online business, digital business. We can spin things up quickly, launch them, see if they work, and if not, kill them. Don't build products, test offers. So you're not going to spend 6 months building something. Instead, you are going to test many different offers. That means different adverts and different landing pages to see which one people will buy, then you build. So we're flipping it entirely. We don't build and then launch, we launch and then build. It's powerful and it saves you time and money. Don't guess, measure with the Facebook analytics. Once you get your tracking in place, it's tracking all of that. I also have something called PostHog in the background. This is showing me of the 160 people who landed on this page since yesterday, which of these pages is converting better. And I have raw data here. So again, it's not, oh, I like this one. It's the data based on this. From this, I can see this variation, the third one is doing the best. Therefore, I will keep this one, dump the other ones, and create more variations based on this one. I'll do a round 2, a round 3. We continue following the data. And each time we're making it 1% more effective. And we keep doing that, and we're going to have a well-oiled machine. And velocity over ego. You need to get out the way. Your ideas aren't worth shit. I meet so many people who tell me about their great business idea. Doesn't matter. What you think about your idea is you're the least important person. The only people who matter are our customers and whether or not they're going to buy from us. That's all that matters. But we tie our egos to our ideas. So when our ideas don't work, sometimes people feel that they are a personal failure. The idea failed. It was my idea, therefore I'm a failure. No. Instead, if you are testing ideas very rapidly, you throw one up, stick up a sales page, stick up some adverts, doesn't work, cool, fine, next. And you just keep going. You don't have time to attach your ego to it, which is very different from if you work on a business idea for 6 months or 12 months. You have the perfect logo, you have a great website, you've spent 18 months polishing the product, and then you launch it and nobody likes it. That blows your ego to pieces. Instead, you had a piece of crap idea, you got it out the door, nobody cared, fine, we move on to the next one. It's a lot easier to deal with. Try not to get attached to your ideas. It's dangerous. So the iteration becomes, cool, I've got an idea. Great, I'm going to build a page for it. I'm going to run some ads to that. That gives me a bit of data. I can choose whether to kill it or to keep going. And let's say I kill it and I move on to something else. That's fine. Rotate. And you can do this fast. You can do this in a day once you have practiced it. All of this stuff that you're seeing here took a day or so to get this in place. This sales page, I added onto the thank you page last night about 11 p.m. And I created 3 or 4 variations of this landing page yesterday in about an hour or so. So you can get everything moving very quickly using AI, and you can rotate this. Technically, you could do this once a day. Hell, you can set up agents and you could potentially have them doing more for you. So right now, go into your list of business ideas, just pick one, throw it into artificial intelligence, tell it about what we're doing, and give it this slide deck. This slide deck will be in the newsletter. So you can copy this into your AI. You can take the YouTube video of this whole presentation, take it into Notebook LM, give it the slides, and then give it your idea, and then you can work from there. So it'll have everything I've been talking about, plus the slide decks, chuck it all into Notebook LM so it can read YouTube, then work with ChatGPT, Claude, whatever you want to set up this strategy. And I will also put it in the newsletter. The newsletter will be on Monday though, because it's Friday today. Hopefully that was useful. My intention here is to save people from this. I've got the best business idea ever. I'm going to work on it in secret. I'm going to release it, and then everyone's going to love it, and I'm going to make £1 million. It doesn't work. You have to get things out of the door as quickly as possible, see if they work or not. If they don't, move on. This sunk time trap is the biggest mistake in starting a business. It's old. We have AI now, which allows us to launch so fast. So you cannot be doing this anymore. It didn't work before. It certainly doesn't work now. So if you have a business idea, get it out this weekend. Get the basics in place, get a launch page up, start running some ads, and then by Monday, you'll know whether or not it's a goer, and then you repeat. Hopefully that was useful. I'm going to hop over to some questions. Sorry, I was in lecture mode again today, but hopefully that was handy for you. I'll do some questions. Oh, here, AI Rogue. I'm going to have some water too, because I've been blabbing. I've started to do interviews and putting together a conference, and I am the host and the interviewer, and it's a different change of pace. It's great. Being able to ask questions and then listen to other people instead of me, like blah, 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 blah. So I've been enjoying that recently. What do you think of using Gumroad to sell books? Yeah, it's fine. Gumroad itself is just a distribution platform. It's just a distribution platform. You still need to drive your own traffic. I haven't used it for ages. I'm not sure if I can even get into it. I've probably made $20,000 on Gumroad. So I get a mix up because there's something called Gumtree in the UK. I probably made 20,000 on here. However, yes, sure, you can put together an ebook, you can put together whatever, stick it on Gumroad. You still need to drive traffic to it. They have a marketplace, this Gumroad Discover. It doesn't really work though. You need distribution and you need to drive people to your Gumroad page. So if you're already building your own distribution, working out how to get your product in front of people, you might as well just sell it to them without paying the Gumroad fees, because Gumroad take a percentage. So instead, I just set up Stripe and a website and sell it yourself. So Gumroad's fine, but don't think that just placing something on Gumroad that you're going to be able to sell it. That is not the case. You need to sort out your distribution. You need to sort out adverts or social media or whatever it is in order to drive people. So that's not to dump on Gumroad. It's just not going to be your business. It's just a distribution channel. So it's just a way to allow people to download your product. That's kind of it. And I think they take a percentage for that. 10%. Ooh, really? Just sell it yourself. Sell something that doesn't exist. No, never do that. Terrible idea. Sorry, no offense. What you want to do is find a product or a service that people are already doing. Everything is basically a remix of everything else. There is no market for it. So when you create something that is truly unique, you need to go and create the market yourself. You have to be a market maker. Creating a market requires a huge amount of money. Absolutely massive amounts of money, which is why most companies don't do it. Apple didn't create the MP3 player. They waited until everyone else, like Zune and Creative Labs, etc., had launched MP3 players, and then Apple entered the market with the best version of it. They didn't create the market because that's a silly thing to do, basically. The only way you can create a market is if you have a massive viral moment or you spend a lot of money. Something like a vanilla Coke, Coca-Cola. or New Coke. They spent a huge amount of money trying to make a market for this new product. People didn't really want it. It still cost them hundreds of millions in marketing to try to build a market from scratch. So don't do that. Instead, look for a market that exists. Competition is a good thing. You want to find people who are doing something similar because that shows you that people are making money sustainably from selling a product or a service or an offer in that particular market. What you then need to do is work out how you niche into that market, what your spin is, what your product or service is going to be doing differently to them. That's how you do it. Trying to create something totally new is 1, impossible, 2, not very good business. Instead, find something that already works. There's this idea of the blue ocean and the red ocean, which is a very dangerous idea. It's a very MBA idea. So red ocean is competing in existing market spaces, beating the competition, exploiting existing demand and making a value cost trade-off. Whereas blue ocean is create uncontested market space, make the competition irrelevant, create and capture new demand, break the cost value trade-off. This is an idea that's pushed in MBAs, and I don't think it's a very valuable one. There are 2 types of risk. There is competition risk and there is market risk. Market risk is much, much worse than competition risk. We can deal with competition risk. We can work out, not by beating the competition, but by working with the competition. We can create our own niche. We can carve out our space within this area. Whereas creating a market from scratch and dealing with market risk, massive risk. So I think the blue ocean strategy is a dumb idea, unfortunately. How does it collect demographic info? So if you're running Meta ads, Meta knows the demographic info about their Instagram and their Facebook followers. So I can actually show you. Let me try and find out. Here we go. It's a terrible interface. So here we go. The demographics of the people who are reacting to my advert at the moment are no one between 18 to 24. The biggest group is 35 to 44 male, but not women, interestingly. That's fine. And then a relatively heavy skew 45 and above, certainly for the niche, which is technology and AI. So I have an older skewing audience, which I'm very happy with because older people have money. I have nobody in 13 to 17. That's good. They don't have credit cards. And I have nobody in 18 to 24, which again, I'm okay with because when you want customers, you want people who have money generally. Not always. No, you want people who have money. It makes life a lot easier. So Meta will provide that kind of information. This sounds exactly the type of strategy I've been looking for. Tell me more. How do I get access to this type of product? This isn't really a product. This is just me educating about how you would do this. So this isn't a course. This will be on YouTube, probably, so you can get the full video as well. Oh, I've just been kicked off TikTok. TikTok has been very annoying recently. TikTok is not allowing me to share my screen, and I just got kicked off at exactly an hour for inactivity. Fine. Anyway, we can edit all this off the end of this anyway, Mark. Thank you so much, everybody. If you are not already subscribed, head to aiwithkyle.com, click on join the community. You get access to a bunch of free courses, about 120 playbooks, the daily newsletter, which is AI News of the Day, a private members community. I think we've just hit 15,000 people in there, a bunch of free tools. That's all totally free, and you can join at aiwithkyle.com. Go and have a look at AI with Kyle on YouTube as well. That's where we put the longer form videos, the longer form guides like this, so you can get access to them. So make sure you subscribe. We're currently at 15,500 subscribers. Oh, got YouTube questions. Let's see. Also saw Lemonade YouTube. Oh yeah, so Lemonade, I'm doing a partnership with Shen. So Shen's my friend here in London, so I'm helping her boost launch Lemonade. What do you make of the ex-OpenAI employee saying, don't feed OpenAI as they're stealing your stuff? Is this the guy who quit the other day and he said that they're lying and they're doing a lot of shady stuff? I don't disbelieve him. Yeah, this guy. I left my job at OpenAI. Putting ads on ChatGPT was the last straw. And there was also, earlier in the week, there was the Anthropic guy who resigned, and his resignation letter was quite hilarious. It had 4 or 5 footnotes to the academic references he was making, and it ended with a poem as well. It's like, my dude, just take your stock options and go and retire. Chill. I have not read enough about the Facebook one, but I will do that, and then I'll cover it on the next Monday. I am inclined to believe whatever he's saying, though, but I do need to read it first. But I would not be surprised if there are shenanigans, let's put it that way. Phoenix, another great presentation. Thank you. Thank you very much. It's great to see people on YouTube. Normally, most of the comments are coming in through TikTok. So get over yourself. I will have a look at that, and then I'll cover it on Monday, if that's all right. I don't want to just spout off and give opinions on something I haven't read. Does Anthropic work well to create a proper product now in the new model? Yeah, I use Claude Code for most things. That said, all this week I've been using Codex 5.3, the ChatGPT coding model. They've now released a Mac OS app, got Codex 5.3 in it. Really good. And I was doing tasks with both Claude Code and Codex, and it's the first time I've seen an OpenAI model beat, for me, this is totally anecdotal, beat Claude Code. So for me, that was very exciting because I've been using Claude Code for the last 9 months and nothing has come even close. And suddenly we have another competitor. I'm wearing a ChatGPT hoodie right now. Codex 5.3 is very good. Opus 4.6 also very good. I think all of the models are just going to keep getting better, and the differentiation between them is not that large. So for creating products, Claude Code is still very good. Gemini 3 is beaten again. Yeah, Gemini 3 has, I think Nano Banana Pro is phenomenal. They have the best image generation model of the Frontier Labs. But Gemini 3 is mainly useful because of its integration into various tools. I was at Google last week, and it's not released in the UK yet, but there is a proper Google Chrome AI assistant. It's only in America right now, but they've basically made Chrome an agentic browser. And I watched it take control of his browser and book some tickets. It's what Atlas and Comet and all of the other AI browsers have been trying to do, but Chrome have just done it. And Chrome has 70 or 80% market penetration. So by default, it becomes the largest AI-based browser. So I think Google's Gemini models are most interesting in the fact that it is integrated into the ecosystem. So when I search something like how many H200s does XAI have, the AI overview here, that's Gemini. So its uses are really powerful here. Also powerful if you're on Google Workspace, but I don't personally use the Gemini app because I have Claude and I have ChatGPT. So for me, it's the third place. So there's not really a reason to use it. But I'm very bullish on Google. I think that they're in a great position to take the race, basically. Thank you so much. I will see you guys. Thank you.